Welcome everyone to the County Union City Board Special Meeting, January 15th, 2026, 6 p.m., Town Hall, 101 North Elm. Chad, you do the first one, please?
Lord, thank you for this day, and thank you for blessing us, Lord, and we're just thankful for everyone that can be here, and we ask that what we discuss tonight is the best decision for the town, and we thank you, we love you, amen.
Keith?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Bob McGregor. Ryan Dawson.
Here.
Keith Dennis.
Here.
James Smith.
Here.
Chad Fisher.
Here.
Call to order 6:01.
Property offer submissions, consideration possible approval of amount amendment revision of acceptance of one of the residential property submissions by Cameron Gas of Gas Delivery. We have two offers on the board right now. Offer number one that has gone through the realtor is for $130,000. It's a conventional loan. The closing would be February 27, 2026. It is subject to an appraisal. The inspection will take 20 days. The buyer plans to build a personal residence. Additional request contingent on 10 stake sale. Offer number two is $125,000 cash. The buyer is Hagen and Liberton. The financing is cash. Closing is April 30th, 2026. There's no appraisal required. The inspection is 90 days to remove the flood zone, figure out the water, the septic zoning, etc. The buyer plans to subdivide and develop the housing. Buyer is looking forward to meeting with you and working for due diligence. If it comes down to price, the buyer will entertain matching other offers. So, have any of y'all looked over these at all?
Mr. Mayor, just for those that are watching, this is the second time the property was listed.
Yes.
The first go around, and I was not here for it, so maybe you guys can fill me in on the offer that you had the first go around with Felton.
I don't remember the number was on that first offer.
I do not. Got 40 in my head, but I could be off.
I think it's 40,000
For 4 acre.
and
10,000 per acre this time, right?
And of course, we had a citizen who wanted to make an offer on that first go around for 60, but didn't make it to real estate agent. They've not made that offer to the agent this time to indicate that they're willing to continue to stand by that offer. It is substantially less than what you have on the table, but I wanted to get all that out in the open.
Okay.
That there was a disagreement the last go around about whether an offer was made of $60,000 for admittedly a slightly different legal description of the property, but while he has not conveyed it to the agent, he has indicated that he's willing to continue to honor that offer.
But it's, the offer would be the 60,000 for 4 acres, I believe, right? Versus the full 10.
Okay, that is all that was conveyed to me by phone, was that he'd stand by his original offer. Even if change legal and expanded, he'd stand by his original offer. But in this case, it's not close to what the current offers are on the table. So I want that out there in the open.
So, I have a couple of questions for you. On this piece of property, you are aware that you'll be responsible for sewer, water, all that stuff, right?
Correct.
Okay. That way, everybody's on the same page. If we were to go with your offer, what would be your estimated amount of time before the first rooftop is up?
It'd be over a year, I would suspect.
Closing was, for theirs was like April versus February on the others,
Yeah.
but
Long as we give them time to.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, just for those that are watching, but you guys all know who he is, I don't know who he is.
Oh, sorry, I'm Brian Liberton,
Okay.
I'm one that made the offer with Hagan.
You're.
And I can give you a little background if you wanna know, I was the one that made the offer of 40,000 on the 4 acres. But, the reason it kinda fell through is we were trying to figure out water, they wanted me to bring water. We were all trying to get a number on that, you know, and it ended up being $115,000. You can see you're buying $40,000, I'm like that, you know, to put 4 houses on there and spend $115,000, I was like, ooh, that's, you know, a little much for me. I brought in a friend of mine, that is a developer. I would love for him to be here, but unfortunately, I know this sounds bad, but we kind of find out like a day or two within the meeting. You know, that's kind of what happened last time, like, Cameron called me, she said, hey, it's $115,000, the meeting's tomorrow night. I'm like, whoa, you know, like, you know, real quick, and then we just made our offer last week, and she's like, hey, there's a special meeting Thursday, and Joe goes, crap, I'm going out of town.
Yeah,
And, you know,
for us, it was presented to us Monday, and then the dates that were on the contract, or the offer, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
the offer was gonna expire.
One of them was gonna expire Friday, one was gonna
Right.
expire Monday.
Yeah, so that, we rushed it
Oh,
on behalf
okay,
of those
okay,
offers
okay.
expiring, we didn't want the offers to expire, so we apologize for that.
Yeah, no,
being
it's
rushed,
okay,
yeah.
and I'm a little bit of the problem too, unfortunately, right now, I've got several houses going, so I'm just super
Right.
busy, I'm kind of a one-man show, you know,
Yeah.
whatever, but,
That was the only
I'm
reason-
wrapped up here.
That was the only reason we rushed it, because we
Yeah.
seen them expiration dates on the
Yeah,
offer, and we're like,
yeah.
oh, we gotta hurry then, so.
Well, like I told y'all, I'm a swing and get on first
Yeah.
base, I'm not
Yeah.
swing and hit home runs, so when they
Yeah.
said 115,000, I'm like, well, let me bring somebody in, and
Right.
I wish Phil was here, he could answer every question to a better maybe than me. Me and him talked about it, but as soon as that came through, I decided, I'd already talked to him a little bit, and whatever, me and my wife talked about, I was like, I'm gonna call Phil to see if he'd wanna go in on this, cause he partners a lot, he's done a lot of development, he's a civil engineer. He's actually retired from Craft and Toll, he ran Craft and Toll, so his amount of experience is great. I think he'd be a little bit of an asset to Union City, cause he could answer, you know, not saying that, you go just could bounce questions off of it, if that makes sense. This is what he's done for a living his whole life, he's retired now, but, I brought him over, I showed him the 4 acres and kind of told him the scenario, and he was like, well, what does the city own? I said, they actually own all the way to 152. And so we kind of drove across that, and he was like, why don't we just buy the whole thing? And I'm like, well, they want to sell the whole thing, you know, and so we called Cameron right then, and small world, Phil actually knows Cameron, because she used to be, I guess, a banker, and so Phil had done some banking business with her, so they, so anyways, he kind of gave her the idea right off the bat. You guys had, if the plat I saw, what you were gonna keep was up against the ball field, and he was like,
Up against the ball fields and the frontage of the highway.
Yeah,
I mean,
and he was
it's my understanding, y'all were gonna request an easement coming in from.
yeah, off the highway.
Yeah, coming off of the highway, so you can access it from Park, was your goal to access from Park and from the highway, correct?
Yeah. And so he had a few questions for probably David. He asked Hammer if she could make a meeting of some sort where he could be there and he could actually ask some questions. We drove around, found a few fire hydrants. He did some stuff on the computer, found sewer over in there, and so me and him kinda had a meeting in his office or whatever, but, unfortunately Cameron called and said there's a meeting Thursday. He's like, well, I'm leaving Thursday morning, so he's not back till February, but he said, go on over there. We're both on board to buy it, and, but that is our intentions, however we all wanna do it, but yeah, and the reason I say a year, you gotta put in water, sewer, streets, and also with the way the floodplain is, and don't quote me on this, but Bill was saying that we can put in for a flood type study. He said actually if the city would help us, it goes a little faster. If the city's involved, you're not paying for it, but I guess you would, we'd use your name or something, I don't know how that works. He just, like I said, he's done this all the time. But basically the ditch that runs down the creek to make on our side wider, so basically it holds more water in the ditch, so it doesn't really create a water problem for anybody else, it just contains the water on that property where we can build more, and get those out of the floodplain, so we don't have half a property in the floodplain, if that makes sense.
You are aware that our engineers already looked at that, correct?
I wasn't aware of that, no.
Our engineer had already looked at the floodplain and determined that there was a type of culvert that
Okay.
could be used, and you can make all of it flat.
Okay.
I don't remember what.
Without actually trying to reroute or move it.
Yeah.
Okay.
But there was a way
More
that you could
usable space.
make it all usable property.
Okay. But, and, you know, like I said, I know the other offer, you know, they just wanted for some land in the house, of course, they'll, I guess maybe they can, David was telling me there's no water there, you know, because when I was like thinking do an acre tract, and there wasn't water, I was like, well, I could always drill a well and do aerobic on those 4 that I wanted to buy originally, and he was like, you're not gonna get no water there, you've got to have Union City water, so, I'm not for sure, I don't know, I'm not saying there's not water there, and I'm saying there is water there either, but I would think that gentleman would have to, I guess, you guys might let him tie onto the line over there on Park Drive if he's just gonna put one house, I guess, but anyhow, just little things are going through my head,
Right.
you know, so.
Last 2 questions from me, and I'll shut up. Whether it's you or somebody else, do you understand that the property is currently not zoned, so you have to, if you're the successful purchaser, you would have to apply to get it zoned?
Yeah.
What you're proposing, single family residential, and then specific to your offer as opposed to the other one, that you'd also have to apply for a subdivision to divide the tracts into several tracts.
Yeah.
And your goal, I asked Ms. Gaffney the question, but your goal would probably be roughly 1 acre lots, so potentially up to 10 houses, or what is that?
No, we would subdivide it into lots, like 120 deep.
Okay,
56
and so what would be your goal, the number of houses you, just roughly, if you have general?
Conservative versus liberal?
Yeah.
Yeah, if I can remember what Phil said, I apologize, he's thrown a lot of numbers at me and all this. I think he said 3 houses per acre, if you break them into lots, and then you have to put a street. Cause he's thinking a few houses off Park Drive, and then a street behind on the 4 acres I was looking at, and then we take that street on down beside the bowl.
So are you planning on tying into our sewer also?
Yeah.
Okay.
If it's, like I said,
I was saying that, I
was.
don't know that you can do aerobic.
Right, exactly, yeah. And this was kind of some of the questions Phil had, and unfortunately, he couldn't be here, so, and he wouldn't be able to, we'd like, of course, we'd like to get it rezoned, but we're, I think that was kind of some of the stuff we wanted to talk about with the board and planning commission, or however it works, so.
Your general idea right now, knowing that would still have to do more work and things might change. Would
Right.
your plan be, you're looking at up to 30 lots, and so up.
Yeah, somewhere 25 to.
You have a chance to figure, you're gonna cut out acres,
Let's say,
half,
let's say 20 to 30.
Roads and
just
variance,
ballpark.
There is like a pond over there, yeah, maybe 20, I would say maybe 20.
Would you look at the infrastructure being just private infrastructure, or would you look at infrastructure, like, would you be looking at platting this and dedicating the infrastructure over to the town? Like the sewer line, the main sewer line, water line?
We would, give it over, once we're done, where they would pay city utilities and all that, the street.
Well,
It would be a private drive.
You pay the utilities and still have a collector line that feeds into a city pipe that, the question I have is, and you may not know the answer today, and this is very early in the process, but whether it would be that you guys would install the sewer line that the houses would then tap into and then ask the town to take that line over, or whether or not it would just be a private collector line that would then feed into a town line that's the town's.
most of the time they hand them over so that they're not responsible for them.
Most of the time they do, I just wanted to, it's consideration for you, that, you'd also be taking on some additional infrastructure long term, but.
I know what I listened to on the, other development was that they would take care of it for a year, and then no problems after a year, you would just dedicate it to the city would accept it.
The way it's supposed to work is if you're platting it, which I like to describe as taking one big piece of property and making it a bunch of little properties, and so that the plat is what creates the legal description, is what creates those lots. The acceptance of the final plat is when they do the dedication, and so that's where the infrastructure, water, sewer, streets, if the city's gonna take them over, that's when it occurs. What usually force, part of that process is a bond that essentially ensures that infrastructure, that we think it was designed the way it's supposed to be designed, but if there's any problems with it, we've got a bond we can go back on for a period of time, to recover our costs. We have to go in and repair it right away. But that's a lot of detail that's down the road. I just want to get a general idea of what you would be looking at, because it is important. We've got two very different offers, similar in number, but very different ideas of the concept of how to use the land.
Yeah.
All right. Any other questions or comments? So, I guess kind of your question is, do you want one roof or do you want 20? You know, for me, I think that's the end goal, is to bring housing to our community.
Mr. Mayor, if I can help frame the discussion from a legal standpoint, there's what we call public purpose doctrine, which is that public resources shown used for public purpose. When we're disposing of resources, as you dispose of them, you ask yourself, what is the public purpose that's served behind it? If you think of just surplusing property, you've got a laptop that we don't need anymore, we're gonna surplus it. Unless there's some other purpose to be served, we're gonna put it up for auction, trying to get the most value for it that we can. When we're talking about property, cities have certain control when it comes to property, when it comes to zoning, and zoning regulations, applying them to land, approving subdivisions or not approving subdivisions. When a city acquires land, then it has a lot of power to decide what's gonna happen with that land. The courts have routinely upheld cities making decisions on disposal of real property where you kind of have to ask yourself, this is my long way to get to, is this, and agents put it really well, what's in here. If the priority is the highest price, well then that makes your decision very easy. If there are other considerations, then I'd urge you to talk about those here tonight and identify what those considerations were, so that we know if you decide to go with a lower price, that there were other public considerations that came into
So for me, 20 rooftops, I mean, it's 20 more families that have a home. It's 20 more families that bring property taxes for the school. It's 20 more families that shop online, bring tax revenue to our city.
20 to 40 more vehicles that fuel up here in
Yeah.
town, that stop purchasing.
I mean, throughout the last 5 or 6 years, the conversations of a grocery store, or the conversations of this or that, we get the same story pretty repetitively. It's like, we wanna see more rooftops, you know?
Yeah.
And once we get to a certain threshold of rooftops, more of that will be easier, you know, accomplished once we get to that point. And I know there's a large, portion of our community that doesn't want, any growth, and want everything to stay exactly the way it is. But the difficult part there is the cost to operate the city is not getting any cheaper. Every single aspect about the cost of operating this city, from infrastructure to police to fire to everything, as it grows, and unfortunately I keep preaching, there's zero way to stop the growth. It's coming, it's gonna keep fluctuating and growing out of Oklahoma City as time goes, and you either wanna be ahead of that growth with like what you're doing with all of our ordinances and all the constant changes we're making to improve those things, but we have to get ahead of it, but we have to create some additional income in order to stay ahead of that and to keep it organized, and that's been my goal since I've sat on this board. My 1/5 vote is for that growth.
A little bit also what Keith is getting at, kind of makes me wonder, what kind of safety net are we gonna have if the citizens go against the addition, just like they did that other one? They didn't want certain roads, they didn't want this and that until it was gone. So, speaking of that, that group is still there. What do we do? What's our safety net? What's his safety net if you choose his offer to put those roofs up? What do we do about are we gonna fold again, or what's the plan? What's the safety net that we can get those, let's just say 20 roofs up? What kind of roads are we having? What kind of?
Should be hard surface if you just let it down. It's gonna have to be hard surface according to our rules.
But it's also, this is just from my standpoint, maybe legal can tell me I'm wrong. I mean, at the end of the day, we were elected by our peers to sit in these chairs, and if it's a 3-2 vote to approve it,
Right.
it goes in. I mean, am I correct? I mean, yeah, there can be lawsuits involved or whoever wants to try to stop it, but as long as everything is met according to our ordinances, and we as a board vote to approve that, then there was nothing that was gonna stop that, you know, if this board voted
But
to
you know
approve
what
it.
I'm saying,
But
right?
this board has to have the background, the backbone to approve it and move forward with it. And it's what can, you know, what can you as a 1/5 vote can stomach? But I mean, I've always said, and I'll say it again, he's been a breath of fresh air for us. I think anybody that's been sitting in these rooms is gonna has to admit that he's been a breath of fresh air for the education side and the stuff, and the way in which he's structuring these meetings for us, you know, and even just everything he just said there. I'll sit and soak that in as late as y'all wanna stay, because it's important, right? So, but that being said, you know, I feel like our previous attorney wasn't, you know, I don't know how to word it without being, not necessarily educated or whatever, but I mean, everything I'm learning from this guy, you know, we can push those things through, but it's up to this board to vote. I mean, that's what it comes down to, and.
So if it comes about, which it very well could, just simply because it did last time, and somehow it falls through, are you prepared to not be able to put what you originally offered, and then you've gotta go back and make all these adjustments?
Yeah, but even then, the planning commission and then this other board that we're looking at reinstalling, they can make recommendations to the board, correct? But if there's variances and things that he wants to apply for, it's still this board that approves those variances and makes that whether we wanna accept it or not.
But the planning commission is a recommending body.
Right.
The way I like to describe it is, you've got a lot of things on your plate, and zoning's important,
Mhm.
so you have the planning commission so that they can dig into it and do all the heavy lifting, send a complete package up to you so you can make a decision, but ultimately, they make a recommendation, you make a decision.
And that's what it is, and that's what each of you have to understand, that we as a, you know, you may not get voted back in again based on your decisions that you make, but, you know, the peers that voted for you and talked you into sitting in this chair, you know, to me, I always reach out to, you know, I have a couple different handfuls of people in the community and say, hey, what do you think about this? This tonight being one of those things, you know, hey, do you think the extra $5,000 more important, or do you think having additional houses is more important? What's most important to you? And I try to get a consensus of what the people around me, whom I have, you know, a shared respect for, they share with me their opinions, and then I bring that to this table. I come here and I say, this is what I think, you know, most of my peers that I've talked to, this is what they think, and I vote accordingly. I don't, you know, unfortunately, it's no different than the president of the country. 50% of the people are gonna hate your decision, and the other 50 are gonna agree with you. It's just a fact. I mean, I don't know how else to put it. What I can tell you guys, and I'll continue to say it until I walk off this board, is this town needs households, and this town needs additional tax revenue. So, I've been, and this is kinda off topic, and I need to stay on topic, but, you know, we've gained $3,000 since October of last year. That's what our growth in our general budget has been since October of last year, okay? I'm following that monthly, because I still feel confident that our town is spending too much money, okay? In my private work, when we're spending too much money, or we're bleeding too much money, what do we have to do? We have to go increase sales, we have to go increase that income side of the table to make that P&L larger, profit loss larger, right? You can't do that in city stuff. We're relying on taxes, ticket revenue, you know, all these different areas of revenue to come in, and what we get is what we get. If you don't increase your tax revenue, if you don't increase some rooftops here and there and create that growth, it's the old saying, if you're not growing, you're dying. And I'm a firm believer that if you back up 6, 7, 8 years ago, this town wasn't really growing, and, you know, it's pretty stagnant, and there's still a lot of stagnant decisions being made in this community, and it's not positive longer term down the road not to have some growth. Now, I agree, you wanna control that growth and grow at a rate that you can control, but the town needs some growth. And that's what, you know, my constituents that I reached out to, that's what they told me, you know, they agreed, we need some additional rooftops. And some of these were ones that were against that out there, because they didn't wanna see 200 and 300 houses going in, but they think, you know, 10 to 20 homes coming into here is a, you know, slower growth rate that we can kind of control and bring some new things in.
A little more of what
Yeah.
I've been hearing.
Yeah.
So.
Have you spoke to him about what kind of road you're gonna put into it?
I haven't, I guess, I mean, it might be something that the, you know, the city mandates us to put, you know.
I mean, I don't know if we have anything that's a certain specification.
We do.
We would do,
We-
we would do gravel.
And hard surface.
What's that?
We would do gravel.
You wouldn't do gravel? Yeah, we do blacktop curb.
It has to be hard surface.
Yeah.
Unless you.
Hard
get
surface
in.
curbs, correct?
And I don't know if this is, I mean, I'm not trying to,
I know it's what it
I guess
needs
I'm
to
trying to
be.
get you on my side, but,
Yeah.
but one thing to think about, Phil pointed this out, and I never thought about it, is, you're also at the point of origin of all the tax revenue from the lumber package, the brick, everything that goes, you know, when I build a home, I gotta put it down in Union City, so you guys get that revenue, so you get the revenue from, you know, all them, there's whatever, 15, 20 houses, you get all that tax revenue, I mean, you know, a house will be, you know, $250,000, $300,000.
To be clear on that, that's a one-time hit while development's going on, is that?
Right,
So
right, I understand.
you gotta be careful on that, because I've seen some communities see that use of sales tax jump up and think that that's gonna be recurring revenue, and it's
Right.
from the development, and then once the development's done,
Yeah.
Keep it off.
that year's off.
Yeah.
But he's not wrong.
Yeah.
The biggest winner here is the small tax increase on the property taxes going to the schools. Now, if y'all listen to any of the rhetoric online, I mean, if there's one thing that's being pushed right now, it's getting rid of property taxes. Now, how in the world they structure that to cover our schools, I don't have a clue. It's far above my pay grade. But for now, and the way everything's structured now, that's additional income directly to the school the second they come in, you know, so, I mean, I'm for it. And the other side of the argument is when people start getting in, and it's a question that deep down inside, I wanna ask, you know, is it gonna be siding houses, are they half brick houses, are they full brick houses, I mean, what's the goals there? And not to be mean, but any new house built in this town is nicer and gonna be more efficient than probably half or 3/4 of the houses we have in this community right now. Where it matters down the road is code enforcement. You can build the nicest neighborhood you want to over there, and if code enforcement doesn't, you know, it's not gonna have an HOA, you know, it's not gonna have those kind of things, and so it comes down to code enforcement to make sure you maintain and improve, you know, these new neighborhoods, you know? And so, it doesn't matter what kind, I mean, of course, we all know a brick house is gonna hold up longer and look nicer longer, you know, depending on how it's maintenance, but, you know, a new house is a new house for this community, and I believe it.
I've seen a bunch of them build that smart siding,
Mm-hmm.
more smart siding than
Yeah.
the brick one.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know who wants to paint that much, but I know.
It wouldn't bother me as much as
You
our ground moves so much and all the brick just wants to crack anyway. It's like, I have mixed feelings about brick myself in Oklahoma, but anyway, those are things that'll get hashed out down the road, but I'm a proponent for this town needs some additional rooftops. I mean, if it's not growing, it's dying.
And if you decide to brick a home, don't forget, we have a brick plant right outside town.
So,
Well, any more discussion on it? Got any opinions, Chad?
No, I agree with a lot of what's been said.
Brian?
Yep.
Yep. Jimmy?
Is there gonna be a cafe in the middle?
I think it's as good a deal as you're gonna find.
All right, so, all those in favor of offer one by Buyer Daniels, say aye. All those in favor of offer two through Hagan and Littleton, say aye.
aye.
Aye, motion approved.
Do we need to make a official motion?
Ryan, did you say aye?
Aye.
Okay.
What I would recommend is a motion
To approve offer two.
accept offer two, and to authorize the mayor, in the absence of mayor, the vice mayor, to execute any necessary documents.
So on agenda, five, property offer submissions, I make a motion that we, accept offer two for the price of $125,000 cash from Buyer, Hagan, and Littleton.
And authorize the mayor.
And
in the mayor's absence, the vice mayor to execute any necessary documents.
And I authorize the mayor and the vice mayor to approve any documents.
I have a motion, I have a second. Motion and second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion approved.
So does that mean I don't have to sign any documents, it comes to you?
You may have to attest to his signature, but,
Oh.
yeah, we need
Okay.
somebody, we want to make sure that there wasn't any ambiguity about who has to be signatures,
It's,
that's
it's
fine.
fine with me.
Oftentimes they'll have mayor's signature with a clerk attest.
Is there any reason for us to go to executive?
Nope.
Number 6, executive session, no action.
You're actually, can jump all the way to 7, or to, yeah, 7.
Yeah. 6A, 6B, and 6.
No new business?
No new businesses, no? Number 7, Ryan Dawson.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it, all those in favor?
Aye.
Before you leave, can you please